Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are in the world. This is a scene for the Living World of Darkness, the Rage Across New York venue. This evening we find ourselves on the Sept of the Green at the cabin, which has been kind of appropriated for the new pack that has arrived in New York. Sitting on the porch are two, one familiar and one not, two silver fangs. Both half moons are sitting in the early evening hours, enjoying the late spring that has come to New York, and they're sitting there with a couple of steaming porcelain cups of tea with saucers. There's a quiet-looking kinfolk standing to one side, waiting to refill those if they need to be. And off to the side of the cabin, there's a little bit of work going on. It appears that there are a couple of kinfolk over there that have some what looks to be railroad ties and spikes and some other various different implements that they appear to be making something over there, working very industriously as the two Philodoxes observe the work and talk about certain things that have been going on. As we enter the scene, we will have two visitors that have been called to speak to the Philodoxes about recent events arriving as we start.
So yeah, Aiden Lynch is swaggering up as always, that bravado, and kind of hands in his pockets. He's quite relaxed as he's walking up. Either probably trees is beside him or behind him or something. He's just walking with a bit of confidence and swag.
Yeah, Teresa's walking beside him. She's just kind of strolling up with her trademark hoodie outfit with jeans and combat boots. Tall ass bitch standing at 6 feet. She does not have the cannon with her today, for obvious reasons.
Balian and Jacob are sitting on the porch, which Tim has deemed to be the new Silverfang salt porch, and are sipping from their tea as they too arrive. Balian will, in deference to Public Enemy's higher rank, will put his cup of tea down and will stand and drop to one knee as she arrives, lowering his eyes.
Yep. Teresa will do the goes in. She'll let that sit for a couple of seconds before she lets him get on back up.
Even they'll do the same to Jacob since he's higher rank, and he'll bow and present throat and be all formal and averting his eyes down to the ground and all that.
Jacob does much the same with Teresa, letting it sit for a few seconds, maybe just a second or two longer, because you gotta knock the bravado out of him. And otherwise, well, I understand.
Balian will stand when he's allowed to, and then we'll walk back over and sit back down and pick up his saucer, take his spoon and slide it slowly into his teacup and start stirring quietly while looking over towards Public Enemy. Raya, thank you for answering the eldest Philodox's summons so quickly. I hope that you can help us shed some light on this unfortunate situation.
Well, I'll see what I can do.
If we could impose upon you to recall the events that you may have witnessed on April 1st, in regards to the spirit that was thought to have come. I'm sure you're familiar with the incident that I mean.
Well, none of us quite knew what was coming. In hindsight, we probably should have, but that's beside the point. All of us figured that we should do our part to at least prepare something for whatever was coming. On my end, I picked up a from the store. It cleansed before I brought it on, of course, but that was my part in it. We all gathered together and we presented everything over to a kinfolk that was acting as a intermediary, and we were produced with the April Fool's cake. Everyone felt different ways about it. I myself, in a bit of a break from stereotype for my auspice, kind of let it roll off my shoulders. Others took it less okay than I did.
Balin will raise a hand. Forgive me, Raya. I do not mean to interrupt you, but you said April Fool's cake, as in like the baked confectionery?
Yes.
Is that correct, or did I misunderstand you?
I'll explain. It was a cake that just read, that's all that was.
I see. Thank you.
It was shortly thereafter I received a message from Tapisha, and I had to go and serve some of my guardian duties. So I was quite unsure of the events afterwards.
So you weren't present when and he raises his hands and does the air quotes thing, spirit arrived and for the passing of Chiminage?
Well, like I said, we had just passed everything off to one of the kinfolk who put it to the side.
I see. Is there anything else you want to add to this investigation, Raya?
Unless there's something specific you'd want to ask me about to inquire a bit further. Top of my head.
Are you aware of the laughing moon known as Radiant Spear?
Yes, I am.
Are you familiar at all with his training?
No.
I see. Do you feel it is common knowledge amongst the members of the Sept that Great White Mouse is one of the totems?
That's pretty... if you don't find that out when you walk on the Sept, at least one Theurge or higher ranked member of the Sept will let you know.
I see. And as he is one of the Sept totems, are you aware of the ban for Great White Mouse?
Roughly. Don't kill rats.
Could you state that for the record, please? Don't kill rats. Is it just rats? Is it applied to any small creature? Mouse? Squirrel?
As far as I know, it's mice and rats, but to be honest, I'm not a Theurge, and I plans regarding bans, so if I ever go hunting, I just stick to deer.
He smiles slowly, and it's almost predatory in nature. He kind of leans forward. He says, "But your auspice is exactly the point, Raya. If you would know what the ban is." And he kind of lets that fall.
She'll nod. She'll meet the predatory aura pretty head on. Too moved by it, at least immediately.
Raya, does it surprise you that the Septotem would be offended by what the alleged events that happened?
It doesn't surprise me at all. It seems like a pretty natural course of events.
And should you be asked whether or not you felt that, were you to be on a mission at the time that the Sept Totem removed its blessing, would you feel that your mission would have perhaps been in jeopardy at that time?
Absolutely.
Have you been on a mission during which you enjoyed the benefits of the blessing of Great White Mouse?
Multiple missions.
Thank you, Raya. That's all the questions I have. And he looks over towards Jacob.
Yeah, Teresa will look over to Jacob now.
Jacob. Looks like he has, yeah, it looks like he has something to ask. Just for the record, did you see what was offered as chimage to this, quote, spirit?
Unfortunately, no. I didn't catch that. Most of my attention was focused on either tending off my offering or preventing someone from frenzying. You still succeeded, Truth of Gaia. Yes.
You sound true.
I'm sorry, previous.
Literally every scene. We'll roll that multiple times.
Yeah, she's being as Truth of Gaia does ring that she's telling the truth, at least as far as she knows.
Yep. Randomly, she could have mind wiped her. And after the incident, you left. Did you leave alone or with anyone?
I left with negative exposure.
He nods. He seems like he expected that answer. Slightly off-topic question. Were you around at the beach party for King's Brewery?
Can't say that I was on that one.
That's fine. Just fishing.
All right.
Those are the only questions I have. I believe any other questions I would have liked answered have already been so. And he nods in appreciation.
All right.
Balian will turn
So
back
kind of-
towards Teresa. We want to thank you again for your time, Raya.
Hey, no problem. Whatever it takes to get to the bottom of this, right?
Indeed.
He'll turn to Aiden.
Aiden will smile.
I do not believe that we need to repeat the reason for our questions, no?
No, not at all. Not at all.
So if you would, please recount what you can recall from the situation at hand.
Well, I was not at the said incident, but I was told about it from my friend Saoirse, in terms of that their possessions had been taken. I went, of course, to Will's packmate, Final Right, which is Talata Heen, and I discussed with her my way, gently, receiving the goods back while keeping to the terms of his punishment. And that's about it, really. I wasn't present for any of these pranks or anything like that. He kind of just spreads his hands and smiling.
So as part of the events, persons gave chiminage to a spirit that did not exist. Is that correct?
That's what Saoirse told me.
And as you were not part of these events, what part did you have in reacquiring the items?
I went to Talata Heen and basically discussed her the situation, and she agreed that they should be brought back. while obviously I couldn't go to Mr. William Wright himself due to the punishment, I thought it'd be best to do it through pack, and I simply agreed that they should be brought back and returned to people.
I see. And have you at times been on a mission where you were enjoying the benefits of the patronage of Great White Mouse?
As a Ragabash, most certainly. He kind of just nods.
And do you feel, as having been one of the Laughing Moons, that your place and your duty to Gaia may have been on jeopardy had those benefits been removed while you were on a mission?
In a mission, we need every chance and every edge we can get. And if someone makes a mistake and costs us that edge, then it's a life or death situation, and it puts us and our brothers and sisters of Gaia in a death chance, and we can't afford that risk, not when we're fighting the worm or any other enemy.
I see. And do you feel that the sept itself, as in the cairn, would be in jeopardy, or is it currently in jeopardy due to the fact that one of its sept totems has withdrawn its favor?
I would believe so. It's our sept totem. It's the spirits. We have a connection to them, whether we be... Now, myself as a Ragabash, I don't know it as deeply as a Theurge, but I believe, that he put us in jeopardy. We are put in jeopardy because of his actions, his stupidity. I do. He nods quite seriously.
And he'll continue looking at Aiden, and then his eyes will travel back over to Teresa as well. And a question to the two of you. If presented with a situation like this, as I am new to the sept and am looking for experience, has there ever been an event like this happen within the sept in the past?
Aiden will look to Teresa to answer first. She's been here longer than he has.
She'll say, in my time here, no, there hasn't. Although I'm sure that if you find any of the more well-learned Galliards or some of the more learned Theurges, they may be able to provide you some more information regarding that.
And in your experience, Raya, and from what you have learned, what is the general response to... And he kind of raises a hand and raises a finger. Smiles slightly. Causing a cairn to be endangered. Raises another finger. Not respecting the territory of another. Raises another finger to be the veil being endangered. 3 violations of the litany. He kind of waggles the 3 fingers, kind of looking at him for a moment, and then looks over at Teresa.
If we're talking about based on all of my experience as a Garu, whoever did all this in one go, they'd be lucky if they were still alive.
And slowly the 3 fingers curl into a fist. He smiles, and just as that fist closes, you hear a ka-thunk, ka-thunk of heavy sledgehammers hammering something next door.
These are so heavy. Why are they so heavy? Fuck! Wait, you believe it? I can't believe it's 20 miles out. They've been doing it. He said they do it.
Balian nods and he'll turn to Aiden. Kind of
Haven't been
open
on the
his
set
hand
for
as
very.
if offering the same question.
He'll nod and smile, looking over curiously at all of the work going on, but he like focuses his attention back on Balian. From my experience back home, I have not been on this sept for very long, but a Weller and Galliard would know the tales more than I of this sept. But from back home, if this happened, these violations, you'd be dead. No question, no mercy. A mistake like this cannot be tolerated.
A smile and a nod. He turns back to Public Enemy. Raya, we thank you for your time. And looks over at Aiden. And we thank you for yours. Strikes unseen.
Of course, Predator.
If we have further questions, we will attempt to get your attention again. Thank you.
Of course. If you need anything, he kind of smiles like awkwardly, nod and look at Teresa and just nod,
Yeah, Teresa nods back. Nods to the and unless either Balian or Jacob want to say anything to Teresa, she's gonna about face in GTFO.
Yeah, Jacob will wave her off.
Okay. Teresa will just kind of do a wave goodbyes as she leaves.
Balian will look over to Jacob. Did you have any other questions for Strikes Unseen? Raya.
Other than when you received the items, you presumably did not receive anything odd other than what you had already given?
He shakes his head. No, I received all the stuff that was described, that Saoirse told me and Alana told me about. Nothing unusual, anyway.
No gifts from anyone else that may have accidentally been given back to you or anything?
I received what Talatahin gave me. He said that's out of character, basically what he got. She didn't give
Okay, yeah, I'll just say, it's untruth. Wow, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, you're definitely. Jesus, you got like a fucking all successes, so you're.
Jacob's like, just making sure everything correlates. Thank you for your time.
No problem at all, Raya. No problem at all. You kind of stand and peer over. If I may ask, what's that? He kind of like points like almost like a child, very curiously. If I don't mind me asking now, Raya and Predator's Focus.
Bailey will kind of smile. Call it homecoming. And he'll smile.
Aiden will like pause, smile. Aye, it's about time. He kind of like just nods and like looks at the tutor. If you need me for anything, fellas, Raya, and you bow and like smile and just head off. Like blushing a bit.
We'll call you. Jacob's smiling at this homecoming phrase as well, strangely.
Aiden's smiling at them too, like, yes. Yeah, so he kind of just wanders off, like catching up to Teresa with a big smile on his face.
As they wander off, Balian will look at Jacob and kind of raise a brow and start to sip his tea. Mm-hmm. Seems to be in line with everything we've heard so far.
Yes, everything adds up. It appears no one at the gathering would have been able to tell that Radiant Spear had brought dead vermin with him. They're in a bag as well as the cage, so they wouldn't have known until after the fact. So they're all innocent of any wrongdoing on their part. There's no neglect there. I've also managed to confirm through an interrogation of Radiant Spear, he's admitted to the crime. confirmed that he did kill them in off-sept, and cages were placed on sept. He didn't take Glabro while on the street, although he did have a White of the Cresting Stone active. That's how he found William's apartment. When pressed on why he took Glabroform at all, he says he only intended to knock him out, and that the reason he took Glabroform was because he doesn't think he would have been able to do anything to him in Homid. When I proposed that perhaps that was poor reasoning, considering he can take a significant amount of damage in Homid form and William can't. And that he may have triggered a frenzy which would have endangered William's kinfolk. He stated that he would have been able to protect William's kin, despite earlier claiming he wouldn't have been able to do anything to William at all. He also claims he was ashamed of the action, but later backtracked that notion, thinking it was actually fine because he didn't believe killing a rat off-sept would have broken the ban.
So I was under the impression that he was a laughing moon and not a listening moon.
Oh, pardon, sorry, you lagged a little bit there.
I said I was under the impression that he was a laughing moon and not a listening moon. Is that correct?
Yes, he claims the reason he offered rodents as chimnage is because the spirits he deals with generally prefer such things like owl, which of course is remarkably ignorant. He does admit that he did not talk to any Fierge beforehand, which of course is a rather common sense thing to do when dealing with spirits. You discuss it with an authority figure on the matter.
He smiles and kind of looks at you and says, in your other life, if you were to be driving down the street and you were to hit someone with your car and someone wearing your uniform were to show up and you were to tell them that it was against the law to hit someone with your car and kill them, would they still go to jail?
Oh, most certainly. Speaking of which, negative exposure did bring up an interesting, it's not initially part of the case rather than it's a new one, but Radiant Spears also witnessed taking his Glabroform at a beach party around King's Brewery. It's why I asked Teresa about it. When questioned on the matter of why he took his Glabroform in an apartment complex, Radiant Spear suggested his Glabroform does not breach the litany. Of course, William, over silence, described Radiant Spear's form as something between Homid and Glabro, so of course it's clearly a breach of the litany if it can be defined as something not human. He claimed the reason he didn't contact a Philodox or a Fierge confess his mistake and wrongdoing was because he was too ashamed of his actions. But of course, he backtracked on that later, saying he didn't believe it broke the ban in the first place. If it would happen off-sept, he contradicted himself numerous times towards the end of the interview. I believe he was trying to amend his intent after the fact in order to mitigate the sentence of what she was publicly called out on, because it was rather obvious. I have the audio tape and the transcript if you require it.
So at this point, we have all of the evidence acquired. We simply need to decide how we wish to proceed, Raya. Did you wish to make this something public as far as a trial, or do you wish to simply announce our verdict as pure the evidence and execute judgment? And he kind of stresses execute.
There's a moment of thought. If this case were less clear-cut, I might have called for a trial, but everybody knows he's guilty. He knows he's guilty. We know he's guilty and all the evidence states it. There's no need for a trial in this circumstance. We only need to issue our verdict and perhaps coordinate with the judges to for punishment that will enforce the litany and serve as an example to the nation, as well as something that will redeem the set before Great White Mouse.
So then the next step would be to gather appropriate members of the sept, bring out the accused, announce the crimes of the accused, and then perform judgment.
Yes. Our discussion with the judges will give us some time to prepare the appropriate setting for it. A slight smile, slightly wicked.
Bailey just looks over at the now slowly forming cross that is being built beside his cabin out of railroad ties. Yes, I think that we should probably speak to the theurges as soon as possible, Raya.
Indeed. And there's like a buzzing in Jacob's pocket and just takes it out. His phone. Yeah, hello, Jacob Clay speaking. Oh, I got it. That's excellent. Okay, I'll pick that up in an hour. Okay, thank you. And he turns off his phone. He's back in his pocket. Okay, I should probably get going. I have a meat hook to acquire.
The kinfolk that was attending them will come over and pick up Jacob's teacup saucer and bring it over to the tea plate that was sitting behind them, and refill Balian's on his way. Balian will kind of wave him off and stand and extend a hand. As always, if there's anything I can do.
Likewise. Nice work so far. I appreciate the assistance.
As always.
And if you require, as I said before, any of the transcripts from my witness statements, all you need to do is ask and they'll be delivered to you.
I will send a kin by to acquire them at your leisure.
Of course. There's an affirmative nod. And Jake will say, "Oh, until next time."
He'll nod. Until next time, Raya. And as Jacob walks off, Balian will reach over and reacquire his teacup and sit back down in the rocking chair and just watch the work that the kinfolk are doing beside his cabin as we will end this scene. Thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, Bob, for lurking. And we'll see you next time on Living World of Darkness.